Hello.
Hi.
Welcome back to New to the Scene. Well, new-ish for this particular one for episode 7.
7.
Left Behind of The Last of Us. Last week I wasn't feeling great, so we kind of pushed it off to this week. I don't think you guys watched it anyway. So you weren't waiting for us to tell you our hot takes on episode 7.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So shall we start? Lance, what did you think of episode 7?
It was good. I cheated a little bit. Usually when we watch the episodes, we immediately sit down and talk about the episodes. Since we had the week, I watched one of the side-by-sides, game to episode. And it seems like they tried to stay pretty true to the DLC, which I thought was interesting because, the DLC wasn't anywhere in the first game. They just kind of slipped it in there just so you can get that background. But
Yeah.
I really liked the episode. I thought it was really good. The actress they had for
Riley?
Yeah, she was very, very good. It was a fantastic episode in my opinion. How about yourself?
It was pretty good. I like getting it's a little bit of backstory about a character that's still alive, so it's relevant. So that's kind of nice.
But introducing a character that you are like, hey, I've never seen her before. Guess we don't need to worry about her.
Oh, I knew that already. I think I remembered seeing images from the DLC before, and I knew it was a DLC.
Yeah.
So I wasn't. So after watching, I think that was DLC.
Yeah.
And then I kind of went on with my day because whatever. But yes, whenever this show starts, they're like, check out this character. It's in Ellie's past. I'm like, oh, bye. And do you want to watch all this intimate character development between them? I'm like, okay. I mean, it's interesting. It's good. But ultimately, I know what's going to happen. But the more important bit is that it directly ties back to a decision that Ellie was in the process of making. Therefore, it was more relevant in the show's continuity than the Bill and Frank stuff, which still good.
Yeah.
Just kind of, its own. As the show has gone on, the Bill and Frank episode has stood out as a complete outlier because it's kind of has Joel and Tess in it, but for the most part, it's just kind of setting up the world.
It's more thematic than anything else.
Yeah.
Or this is you can see the overall theme of season 1 developing in that one episode of how it'll likely go for the main characters, and it's beautiful. But I agree, you could probably just pop 3 out and the story probably would have unfolded almost identically.
It could have been its own movie at that point.
Yeah.
Just add some deleted scenes and release it as its own thing.
See, I agree with y'all and I disagree. The only reason I disagree is as I watch these shows, The Last of Us, what's the other one? The Walking Dead. They always try to make it a point that it's not about the zombies, it's not about the outbreak. It always seems like it's humanity, basically, we're becoming animals. And I kind of like that episode just because it was a guy that was already kind of detached and ready to just kind of give up on everybody. Yeah. And then you actually got to see a love story between two people who found hope in each other.
It's a great episode. Yeah. It's probably their best episode of the season. But but how it fits into the story of Joel and Ellie, it's a weak episode. In that context. It doesn't take away anything from the episode by itself, but for the overarchingness, it's lacking.
I think I mentioned at the time that if it was a satellite episode, or if it was a cutaway episode or a vignette, and more of the episodes were vignettes, it would fit in because now it's just Ellie comes along and we see a vignette, and Ellie and Joel go here and we see a vignette. But now it's not really. We're getting a little bit of backstory, but it's about people that are directly interacting with Ellie and Joel, or interacting with characters that interact with them directly. So it just seems a little bit more out of place, but still good. Yeah. Whereas this one, Left Behind, I didn't get so much of that because it's at least informing a character decision.
And it's also informing why Ellie was the way she was when they first met her.
Yeah, so we're getting some backstory about a character we are currently following, and why she wouldn't leave Joel.
Yeah.
But I will say that of all of the episodes, this one was probably my least favorite. And I say that, not that it was a bad episode. Like we're saying, like least favorite, I'd probably still give it like a 7. It was still a good episode. But I think having watched Lance play the DLC, and I remembered more of the DLC than Lance did, and how the DLC is kind of interspersed with, you do a little bit of the stuff with Ellie and Riley, and then you have this stuff going on with Ellie in a mall fighting raiders, hunters, some sort of outlier group, so it's kind of
between past and present or something like that.
So it's jumping between, and so you're having like this event where something similar has happened to Joel, and she's having to gather supplies to help him and bunker down because he needs to recover, and so she's defending him, and you're kind of seeing as she kind of goes through the mall, little pops of these like memories just coming flooding back, and that to me, I think played better because it's just like, I think if we had had more cuts back and forth between present and flashback, I think it would have played better for me.
Yeah, but I guess maybe thematically or whatever, especially setting up for what was to come up with the next episode, you can't just jam her in a mall and have her walk through the mall together.
Yeah, no, and then like I get that, but it's just like maybe if she was scouting for the supplies and they had interspersed the backstory with Riley a little bit more.
Or she's hunting through the houses, goes into some kid's room, and there's a Mortal Kombat poster or something like that.
Yeah, and I just, to me, I think that would have played better. But that, again, that's the game clearly coloring my vision of this episode. Mm-hmm. As an episode, I thought it was good. It's still, like I said, I still give it at least a 7.
Okay, so it's still good.
Well, they give us a little bit of extra in this one too, and shows you like. This was, I don't think they covered it in the game. I might be wrong, correct me if I am. But I don't think they really covered the thing that, like, Riley was posted up in that area.
No, they did.
Did they?
Yeah. About her
they
were a bomb maker.
Yeah.
They should.
I did not remember that, but I also had a chance to look back on some stuff, and they did confirm that she was there by the Fireflies. She was leaving from the Fireflies. She was working with the Fireflies.
Okay.
Then she got bit, and that was that.
Okay. Well, it's been so long since I played the games. I really, really wanted to like get a playthrough in before we actually started. But there's been other games that have been completely brain draining us right now. So,
but one of the differences is the game. Mm-hmm. When they go to the arcade, most of the mall does not have power. Mm-hmm. In the DLC. So when they get to the game, it's broken and there's not enough power, and so Riley just kind of, it's not Mortal Kombat, it's some other game, and she just kind of is like cinematically storytelling Ellie through her mind's eye of playing the game.
Ellie's holding the controllers, and Riley's like, the character comes out.
I'm describing.
She's dressed like this, and the other character comes out, and like basically is just walking her through it, and you could hear like the sure you can and all that stuff like in Ellie's mind as like Riley's explaining. It was actually really, really good. When the power was actually on, and she was like, "Oh my god, Mortal Kombat!" and they started playing the game. I remember looking over at Amber and being like, "I like how they did it in the game better." And she's like, "Yeah," just because. It was just the way she was describing it, like whenever Ellie kind of goes into her head. I'm really looking forward to something that happens in the next season with her, like imagining stuff. But yeah, I mean, overall, I'd say it was a really good episode. Was it my least favorite of the season? I don't know if I found my least favorite of the season. All the episodes have been pretty solid so far.
Again, I'm saying it's my least favorite, but I'm still giving it a 7. So it's not like it's a bad episode.
I guess I'm saying the same thing as you are. It's like there's not any bad episodes. They're all decent. Like you really kind of have to. You really kind of have to dig to find something you don't like about it. And our gripes, for the most part, is what translates between the game and the TV show, which technically it's not a bad thing.
Yeah, and most of my gripes with the season are just part of the genre.
Yeah.
It's you introduce people, and as a viewer, they're fucked.
Well, I mean, you get Tommy back, and you get,
Tommy.
Yeah, Tommy. He shows up.
He came back and he lived in his episode. That's good. If there was more of that.
There is. I could say another character, but we haven't got that episode
Okay.
yet, so I don't want to spoil nothing. But there's more of it. So
Hopefully,
yeah, I know what you're saying.
it's
This
just-
genre is bleak. It's
Yeah,
super
the
bleak.
genre.
Yeah. But yeah, this episode, it was really good. It was another one of those, people caring for people and, wanting to have that one last day, because that turn was heartbreaking.
Oh no, it's still sad.
Yeah.
I mean, but I cried my eyes out over Sam and Henry. I teared up over Bill and Frank. I shed no water for Riley. So it's the emotional impact of the scene with Riley just didn't pay off for me.
Mm-hmm.
There was and maybe it's because as soon as she came on, I knew she wasn't going to last, and I knew how it was going to end. But at the same time, I knew it was going to happen with Sam and Henry, and they still made me cry. So I feel like there was a way to give emotional impact. I just don't know how they could have done it.
Is it maybe because didn't they make Sam younger?
I think that might have helped.
And then also made him deaf too.
Yeah.
And just kind of made him a lot more dependent on his brother, and then his brother ends up failing him, and that just makes it hit worse.
Yeah. And again, I know with Sam and Henry, there were certain ways that Sam acted, and I was like, my son might only be 2.5, but I could see the difference between a 2.5 and 8-year-old, and yeah, that totally did help hit. But like I said, there was no emotional connection to the Riley loss at the end.
It was more just watching how rather than feeling an emotional connection to it. Although it's nice to see them like Ellie happy for a little bit, and then it all gets ruined, as these shows like to do.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know that I have the emotional fortitude for much of this.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, it's the thing that got me about the episode is that, Ellie kept asking her, and it's like, you're turning the power on this place, I want to draw people. And she's like, oh, no, like, you saw the outside of this place. Like, no one can see. It's a fucking mall. Mm-hmm. Like, you turn the power on that place, I imagine it's going to stand out a little bit. Especially, I think that place had, like, the glass tops. So, like, the top of the mall had to have been, like, searchlights in the sky for that place. But, that's, again, just a nitpick.
Well, two of the things I did like small detail wise, I liked how that the photo booth, the ink was so dry that it was almost not visible. I like that touch because we've all dealt with color printers at this table.
Print. What the hell is this?
It's an everyday thing for me.
And the other thing was them not understanding the computer joke in the pun book.
Yeah, that was fun. Too.
That was great.
What was the computer joke?
So it was the pun. The ending had to do with a screenshot.
Yeah.
And they were like, "What does that mean?"
Yeah, what's a screenshot? Yeah, that's right.
I don't even remember what the pun was, but I just thought it was funny that like they totally just didn't understand.
Yeah, so you deliver it like it's a joke, and the other person's like, "I don't get it." I'm like, "Yeah, I didn't get it either."
I was hoping one of us would get it.
Yeah, I was hoping you would get it, and I said it in the funny voice, so like, you would laugh and it'd make me laugh.
But yeah, it's as I'm sitting here thinking about it, yeah, it was probably one of the weaker episodes of the season. You pointed out something about the reveal of the cordyceps. Did you want to talk about that? That they showed they showed the infected, and then you were kind of like, I really kind of wish they wouldn't have shown that.
What with in the toy store where the guy was?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think it took some of the suspense out of.
When all of a sudden he just kind of like broke out. If you didn't see him wake up in the first place.
Yeah, I think for people who hadn't played the game, that would have been a bigger reveal if they hadn't seen the moment where he was awoken by it.
Yeah, that's probably true.
Because it's just like because then you just have the assurance of Riley saying it's safe, that it's been cleared out, it's safe. And they didn't do any checks, and she's been there for a while, so clearly it must be safe. And then to have that kind of, because in the game you have no real warning. I think there's like a couple areas that are supposed to be like boarded off, but that was about it. But
yeah, they just kind of show, and I think it was more than one in the game.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's I think that's just like a butt pucker moment for people who have not played the game. It's like it's there now, and it's like the entire time there, and they're like partying and having a good time.
But I think if he had just shown up, that the way that they've set up the world is that you don't know where they are anymore, then they establish that in the first 2, 3, 4 episodes of they've been driven into dark places a lot of times. So if this is an abandoned area, just because it's abandoned and they say it's safe doesn't mean it is, because, you know, Kansas City was safe and they were driven underground and they were going to burst out at any moment.
And
Yeah.
they could have potentially...
The museum was just outside and was full of it.
In the parking lot.
Yeah, and they could have foreshadowed it by having, like, while they're walking by, like, a boarded up door that's, like, been broken down. And it looks fresh or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then you know that, like, hey, someone broke that recently.
Well, and then I had noticed, like, the way that the plant roots were hanging around the carousel. It looked almost like it could be the cordyceps roots, too. They could have played on that.
Yeah.
No. Well, it's I honestly think for folks who hadn't played the game, it was just a butt pucker moment of it's there, and the entire time they're just having a good time, and everyone's just like, is it going to be now?
Yeah.
How about now?
Yeah,
Is it gonna be now?
for me, the suspense of the unknown is bigger than I know the threat's out there. I knew the threat was out there because he played the game. I'd watched that. So I knew this is the moment where they get bit. But it's just like, the whole time it's like, yeah, I'm just waiting for it. And like, I didn't even feel the tension of waiting for it. It's just like, it's going to happen, you know? It's like, and then the reveal between when they were playing the game and he woke up to them finally tracking down, it seemed like it took forever.
It's like another 20 minutes or something.
Yeah, and which, I mean, they played that game for a really long time, so it's like, it took that guy a really long time to track them down, and it's just like, come on, I thought y'all were, like, good killers. It's like, he still had eyesight. It wasn't like he was a full-on clicker.
Well, in the DLC, if I remember correctly, he opens his eyes, then he's like, ugh, and then he starts walking, he's like, oh, 2 for 1 sale.
He was going shopping.
Really good bargain.
He broke in that room like just after they left.
Honestly, the
Mortal
creepiest-
Kombat, and he was like, oh, millionaires.
The creepiest part to me about the toy store wasn't him. It was the really creepy dolls in the dark that were like up front. They were like the American Doll girls, but they looked really creepy in the dark. Because dolls are creepy and don't let anybody tell you differently.
Especially when they like talk to you.
They're not dolls.
They're
action figures. Yeah, but it's just like, you know, it's...
Were they action figure little girls?
Yes. The Exorcist line. We need to do that one. We need to do that review of the one movie where it's like the killer puppets.
Which killer puppets?
It's like there's a dude that has like a hook hand, and then there's a dude that has like a drill head, and they're a little...
Small soldiers?
No. I can't remember what it's called.
No,
It's killer puppets. Whatever. Anyways.
Sounds terrible.
It is, but it's made enough of a marker on me to remember it. So, but yeah, I've been listening to what y'all been saying as we've been watching the show, and I really, really hope they're just not shoving the entire season.
I really feel like this is
one game. I hope that's not what they're doing.
One game into one season.
Yeah, one game for the first game into the one season. I kind of hope so.
I kind of feel like it is barreling towards that fast.
Well, I mean,
I would like it to do to. I don't know. You take like one game and try to put it into one season. It's like you're gonna miss stuff. But the alternative is to make it just feel like it's going on and you're stretching.
The main thing that they've been cutting is like the fact that there's constant combat normally between these scenes. So basically what they've done is they've stripped out a lot of the combat, put in what was necessary, and then telling the story as if it wasn't. And like if you were to watch a Let's Play that was just all the story cinematic beats, it probably would run shorter than what this is running.
oh God, yes. But like,
So I'm just saying is you're going to get it's 9 episodes, assuming that most of them are running about 60 minutes. Because we got a couple that have gone over, some that have gone under.
It's essentially 9 hours.
So it's 9 hours, and that's probably less than what a Let's Play of all the cinematic moments would be.
there's so many cool things they did in the game as far as like the combat that they could put into this show.
And they've put some of that in there,
Yeah.
but if they did nothing but combat, it would be like DBZ episodes.
Yeah, and also it's not.
That sounds amazing.
It sounds awful.
It's also not what the show is about either.
In this episode, Joel powers up.
It's like when you remember.
In this episode, Joel spends 45 minutes looking through drawers getting duct tape and paper.
That also sounds amazing.
I
want one episode of just Joel at the bench, like duct tape and stuff to the gun.
You got
He did it
his
with his
with
boots.
boot. You got it with his boot.
I didn't want him with the boot. I want to see him put a silencer on his rifle and it's like and then like get the fucking clip and somehow shove like 3 more bullets into that bitch. Like I want to see that kind of shit.
Well, your PlayStation's over there. Go ahead and boot the game up and see it yourself.
But yeah, so I mean,
Fuck you.
Is there much anyone else wants to add about this particular episode?
No,
It's good character development
but what we learned is Ellie got Joel to a house.
Mm-hmm.
She's gonna sew up his wound.
Yeah. He was like, leave me to die, and she's like, even if we only have 2 more minutes together, we're gonna spend those 2 minutes together.
And then she sews up his wound. The end.
Yeah.
That was the episode. Everything else was just flashback. Informative, but you had less than 5 minutes of progressive storyline from this.
Yeah. Anything you want to add there, Lance?
Nope. I think we covered it all.
All right. Well, join us in a few minutes
for episode 8.
Because these episodes are going up at the same time.
Yep.
I look forward to it tomorrow.
All right. Bye, everybody.
See ya.